Okay, so just as a disclaimer again, these meetings are recorded for your guys, and we'll post them on the YouTube channel. So you guys don't have to, as a student, you guys don't have to show your screen or mic, but obviously we won't record in the breakout rooms. But yeah, let's just get started. So we are recording right now. Let me share my screen again. The chat. We have. Okay, we are good. So welcome everyone. I remember last week we had session 0, but we are going into session 1 today. We'll actually start with the coding. So another important thing before we start, there are going to be some like in-class questions. So can you guys, I hope you did set up Top Hat, but just to reiterate again, so just go to tophat.com, create your account, sign up as a student, and remember to select University of Calgary as your school and join this Saturday session right here. So maybe a mentor could post like just the code for the Saturday session, but I hope everyone's got that sorted out because we might not have that much time to set that up. But if you have any questions, just ask your mentor. This is just the session overview today. So I don't know if you remember last time. I don't know if you guys remember last time, but I don't know if you guys remember last time, but today we're gonna set up our coding environment using Trinket. We're gonna actually do some Python, learn some drawing functions, so how to really how to visualize some extra stuff. So we go over some fundamental concepts like drawing shapes, variables, and how to use the mouse. You have some here. Okay, the basics. Oh, and I think I did gloss over this again. So I don't think I introduced myself properly. So my name is Adrian Valahadia. I am a second-year biomedical engineering student. So even though I'm not a software engineer or whatever, I still use a lot of Python in some work that I do. So yep, let's get that, just to get that out of the way. Okay, so I want everyone to log into trinket.io. So really, you could just type in Trinket to your account. So I'm going to try doing that. I think everyone can see my, yep. So we'll go to Trinket right here. I hope you did create an account, but should be pretty easy. Now go to home. You have, and then you have some of your recent trinkets, and then we just click new trinket. And don't select Python 3, we just want Python in this case. So go to Python, boom, we have our coding window right here, and then we'll have our output window onto the right here. Okay. So everyone, I want everyone to create a trinket document. And remember that this window right here is where we'll do most of the coding. So let's go back to our slides. Keep track of the time. Boom, we're right here. So in your main.py, I want everyone to type from processing import asterisk. And what this essentially does is we're sort of defining a toolkit that we're going to use. Like if you go into other programming languages, they'll have like you'll be importing, say, like their standard libraries, so like some standard functions that we're going to use. So right now, I just want you guys to know that this is importing all the functions that we need from this processing module. And we'll also get into what a module is and libraries and functions and etc. So yeah, let's print our first sort of line of code. So everyone, I want you to do, so using the print function, you could print whatever text you want here. So like hello world. But the caveat is any text that you want to print out is going to have to be in quotation marks. And we specify that because we're telling the computer that, hey, anything in quotation marks is a text, and this print function is going to take these is going to take the text and print it out in your terminal. And obviously, it's a useful tool to see what's going on in your program. And also, it's also used for like debugging. So if you have an error, you could print out stuff and whatnot. And as common coding practice is you also want to make comments along your code. So maybe you're going to have a gigantic function, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like an essay. Someone still, if you're handing your work over to someone, it'd be nice to have comments so they understand what every line of code is. Okay. So, yep. So aside from the print function, so try copying this. Maybe I'll do that as well. So if you go back here, we do from processing import all. So the asterisk actually means I'm going to import everything from this processing toolkit. Then I'm going to type in print hello Schulich ignite. And let's save that. It's going to save. Let's do session. Let's rename our session one notebook code. And then let's press this run button. And oh my goodness, it appears right there, guys. Nice. And then we could add some comments. We could add a comment there, add a comment here. But notice if you add a comment here and then you try running the code, it doesn't run anything because you just essentially made this little portion as a comment. And another thing with programming, oh, let's go back here. Another thing with programming that you'll see a lot, and you should probably know, is that Python the computer reads Python code from top to bottom. So it'll read from line 1, the first thing in line 1, it'll execute it, and then it'll execute stuff in line 3. So just keep that in mind. So it sort of follows like some linear order. But with that out of the way, we'll get into sort of the setup function. So this setup function runs once when the program is initially on. Again, I'll probably show my coding editor later, but all I have to do is do def setup and then add this semicolon down here. And anything that falls under that semicolon is any code or like setup stuff that we want to do, like maybe defining like the characters that are going to be in the game or the gravity constant and whatnot. And then I guess similarly, there's another function called def draw, which executes code that's within it over and over again until the program stops. And again, we'll be learning more about this later. And I guess this is really important because this run function needs to be at the end of your basically end of your script to visualize any drawings or to animate anything that you want. Okay. So just like what I was saying, that Python, like just imagine we had from processing and then you had print world here. The computer is going to read the def setup function first. Then after that, it's going to read whatever's in the draw function last. And then obviously it's going to hit run. Again, I'll show my coding editor later. Any questions so far? No. Okay. How are we doing on time? We're good. Okay. And before we draw anything, obviously we want to define sort of like the window that we're working in. So that's why in our def setup, we'll use the size function. And which, yeah, like I said, defines the dimensions of the display window in which our shapes will be drawn. And then it takes two, I guess, settings, a width and a height. So maybe you could try copying that there. Okay. And before we get into drawing, let's try to go over all the code that I just said so far. So we had our print statement, then we need to define our setup function. So let's go back here. And I'm gonna add a comment here, print statement. And the thing is, from processing doesn't have to be in line 1, it just has to be the first line above. So you could be like imports or installs specifies toolkit functions and funcs we will be using. Okay, and then if we go down here, we'll have def setup. Remember, those two parentheses specify function, and then we have a colon. And notice here that there's an indent. That is intentional because it just tells the computer that, hey, everything in that indented line is going to fall under the setup function. So define initial settings. Okay. And then let's dedent to specify that, hey, I'm not defining anything that's going to be in the setup function. And I'll do def. And let's go back to the slides. Draw. So let's just basically copy this around here. Draw, and it might have some code down there, and then we have run. Remember draw. And I'm going to put this comment up here so it's easier to read. Functions that will repeat until the program ends. And remember, we have our colon, and might have some code down here. Whatever code down here. Yep. And then after that, we have our run statement. That run should be the last thing. And don't run it yet because there's some issues right here that I'll fix later. But this is what your coding environment should look like right now. Okay. Well, hopefully someone could take, if you guys, you could maybe take a screenshot of that. Okay, and now we want to draw something. So like what I said, if we go back here, anything that has these parentheses is sort of like a function. So we have the setup function, this draw function, and then obviously we have the run function. If you go back here, we have the rectangle function. So that's and this rectangle sort of takes specific, they're called parameters or settings. So we have to specify the x coordinate, the y coordinate, and sort of the width and the height and all that good, sort of like the location and geometry of it if we want to draw it on our screen. And since I'm speaking about sort of location, I hope you guys are a bit familiar with like the x and the y axes because we're basically using sort of like a similar concept here. And in that 0, 0 is like the top left corner of your screen. Okay, so like say this is our window, 0, 0 would be right here. Oh, and that's the thing. So let's actually specify this size. So let's go back right here. Let's copy that down there. And then I'll say set window size. And it's like 600 pixels by 800 pixels, something like that. And I'm gonna remove this draw function because that will cause an error. But if you do that, say I made the window size really small. That's our window size. This is our window that we will be drawing on. And this little corner right here is 0, 0. And if we go back to the slides, if we go sort of like increasingly this way, they'd be increasing in width. So it'd be like increasing in this value. And if we go down, it's actually increasing in height. So yeah, make the display window 600 wide and 800 tall. Oops. So we have rectangle. We have another thing called the ellipse. So really, it's kind of just an oval, but we specify sort of the location. So where the center of the ellipse is going to be drawn, which is the x and the y. And if we go back to the rectangle, we do specify, instead of the center, we specify the corner. But if you go to the ellipse, we specify the center where the ellipse is going to be drawn. Then we have, again, these other parameters like the width and the height. And just so you know, the circle is really just an ellipse, but with the same width and height. Mathematically speaking, that's what it is. Okay, we'll have our first quick question. Okay, so we'll have our first quick question right here. So everyone, I hope everyone can pull up Top Hat or just go into the Top Hat website. But let's just read this right here. So don't worry about like the specific line of code. Just answer this question in particular. So like what values X, Y, and D make a circle? And if we go back to the previous slide, you'll have some information about that. And to define an ellipse, X, Y have these parameters that has a radius of 50, edges that touch the top left corner of the screen. So think about sort of these parameters for X, Y, and D. And I'm gonna bring out the Top Hat right now. So everyone hold tight. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna exit this. Well, can everyone see that? Just do a thumbs up button. Okay, I think everyone can see that, I hope. And let's start this question. Oh, someone can't. Oh, no, sorry, I meant the screen. Oh, or no? Is my screen not sharing? Oh, okay. Okay. Can everyone see the screen though? Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. So everyone, you could visit this code or no, visit this Top Hat thing. We'll have the code. That is the Saturday session, right? Okay. And in that case, I am going to start the question right now. And I'll give you extra time if people need it. So I'll give you 2 minutes to answer this question. So yep, radius 50, edges that touch the top left corner. Okay, we are getting answers. Are people answering? I hope. So that's the Top Hat code. I'm gonna go back to the slide in particular so that you guys could just see it. I can't. Yep, you are supposed to answer this in Top Hat. Oh, you can't find it. What's okay? Oops. One of the mentors like DM them. Maybe they might need help. Oh, okay. I guess someone's helping out. This is the quick question. Go back here. I'll give you guys extra time. Can I do that? Yeah. Okay. I'll give you guys another minute. Oh, okay, great. So really just regarding this exercise, so thank you, Planet, for that. Yeah, okay. Regarding this exercise, so just like think about like if you go back here, the parameters that we needed, what does the X, Y, what does the D even specify? And and sort of like if you have a radius of 50, what is the X and the Y value, as well as like the height? Remember, the radius is like the distance from here, the center, to like the edge. If you guys remember like grade 7 math. I'm gonna go back here. 40 seconds. So there are people who's answering. That's great. Okay. But yeah, like the X and the Y are like the two first values, and then the then the D, which is the diameter, is like the last setting. I hate math. Oh, well, programming. Well, if you're into like video game development, there's actually a lot of like linear algebra. There's actually a lot of math regarding that. And I'm into machine learning, and all of that is really just math. Okay. I really hope, I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna stop the answers right there. I'm gonna hit the library today after this. I'm not gonna have. But the thing is, even though math might be a difficult topic, I honestly see no reason for everyone to enjoy it and learn it. Just as long as you feel like you're learning something, that's already a win. Okay, let's go back here. So let's check out the responses. Ooh, a little bit scattered, but let's see the right answer. Yeah, it is D though. Was again because and this is specifying that x is equal to 50, y is equal to 50, and the height or diameter is 100. So if was it again? I made a little diagram just to visualize this, but remember this is like our circle. Oh, people keep joining and leaving the meeting. But this is our circle. This top left corner right here is 0, 0. And if we increase this way, we'll increase the x value. But since the radius is 50, we know that the distance from here all the way to here should just be x equals 50. And likewise, the distance from here all the way to the halfway point is 50. So the center location of this circle is 50, 50. And since the radius, I'm saying radius and 50 is a lot, but if we want to know the diameter, remember the diameter is just twice the radius, so d is equal to 100. So I hope everyone's got that sorted out. Okay, that's the next question. Oh, you guys spoiled that for a little bit. Should have not done that. Okay. Let's do sort of like the example code. Yep, so in addition to the ellipse and the rectangle, there's the background. So maybe when you're making your game, you want like a blue sky. Then you'd specify this background. I'll go into a coding example just right after this. Let's see what here. And then okay, I think I am going to go into a coding example right here. So we have our window size. We want to define it. Let's just do 600 by 600. Okay, let's see what that does. Boom, that's our window. Okay, now we have our def draw. That's gonna repeat over and over and over until the program ends, repeats until the program ends. Nice. Then let's say we want to draw an ellipse. Let's do ellipse. We could even copy this example right here. So whenever you're drawing something, you typically want it to be in this draw function that repeats over and over, because like Trinket, all it does is like in one frame, I'm going to update the screen using this draw function. And then in the second loop, I'll update the screen. Oh no, I'll draw on top of whatever was drawn initially. So we do ellipse, and then let's just do the previous example. Okay, and then let's save, and then let's stop, and then let's run again. And boom, we have our ellipse right there. Awesome. And then another cool thing is you could still define the rectangle similarly. Okay, I'm just putting some random numbers right here, but we go to save, we go to stop, we go to run, and when we could draw another circle right here. And remember that Python reads from top to bottom, so then the ellipse is going to be drawn first and the rectangle is going to be drawn second. Yep.
There's someone in the waiting room.
Can you say that again? Sorry.
There's someone in the waiting room.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. Is there? I don't think so. I don't see anyone in the waiting room though. Oh, okay.
They're texting on the Discord. Because they're in the waiting room.
Oh, really? Okay. Can they also join again? Can they join the meeting room again? Oh. It's a bit odd. Yep. But okay. Looking at the Discord right now. I don't see anyone in the waiting room currently. So can you just leave and join? That is a bit odd. Uh,
They should be in the waiting room right now.
I don't see anything.
Yeah, I don't see anyone in the waiting room on my end either, so we can just continue with the lesson and I'll figure it out in the background.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mahak. Okay. Sorry for the little hiccup, guys, but unfortunately, I do not see anything. Okay. With that, if we go to the, sorry, I guess resuming to back to what we were discussing right here. So we have the we have these extra functions called backgrounds. So if you just want to add a little like color, I guess. So let's like specify the background. So if we go back to trinket, we could have after size, we do want the background, we do want to specify the background in the setup because that makes the most sense because it sort of defines the initial settings. And how to define color in Trinket works, or in really any programming language works, is you need to specify the amount of red, green, red, green, and blue. So you could do like an RGB picker online. Show you this one. Okay, boom. So you know what? We're going with this orange. So it's 232. And then if you go back here, we'll do 232. So it's 232 red, green, 180 and 23. 180 and 23. And if we run that, there we go. We get a nice sort of orangish black background. But there's a lot of apps out there that you could figure out what type of hue of red or purple that you want. So I'll leave you guys up to that. Or you could just specify, you don't have to specify these three numbers, but you could just specify just a single number, and that would just be the grayscale. Similarly, I know I was drawing sort of a rectangle. We could also specify the color if we use the stroke function. So we have 255, 0, and then we have fill. So stroke specifies like, I guess the bounding boxes in a sense. And then fill is obviously fill. So let's try copying this code. No, that's an image. We could go back here. We could do stroke. I'm just going to specify all. So I put 0, 0 for the G and the B. There's this will just specify sort of like a red color. If we do that. Oh, look at that. I guess the boundaries are red. And if we do fill, 0, 0, 255. Back to right here. And look at that. So this, I'm going to add comments right here. So specifies red border, specifies blue, fill. And then, yep. But another thing to note is that when you're specifying stroke and fill, it's sort of like you're putting your paintbrush in different buckets of paint. So because I only so in this case, I told them, okay, I'm going to put my paintbrush in a bucket of blue, and I'm gonna draw with blue. And that's why both are blue. But say if I specify fill again, but with a different color right after the rectangle, notice how it is green because right here it's like, okay, I'm gonna draw with blue first, and then I'm gonna draw my lips. And then the second part down here is okay, and then I'm gonna dip my paintbrush in green, and then I'm gonna draw a rectangle. Yep. And just checking the chat. All slides will be available. Great. So yeah, if you guys could maybe take a screenshot of this code right here, but we'll sort of get moving. And just like what I was saying right here, how it works is background paints the entire window, including the foreground. And then fill and stroke applies the color to everything we draw afterwards. And like I was saying, it's like dipping your paintbrush a certain color. So if you specify stroke and then if you specify red, and then you draw a circle and a rectangle, the circle and the rectangle will all be red. But if you specify sort of like red, and then I draw my circle, and then blue, I draw my rectangle, they'll have different colors. I guess with that out of the way, we'll go to our first exercise, guys. So we're gonna go into our breakout rooms pretty much, but I want you guys to draw the Calgary Tower, and then if you have extra time, draw whatever you want. So just get creative, and don't worry if like the colors don't match. There's like an infinite amount of colors. So just some food for thought. Use setup to define the size and color of your background. And then you can think about what color combinations you want. And you can experiment with that RGB, that red, green, blue color picker. And after that, how do we draw the tower itself? Remember, we use those rectangle functions. And then you'd have to specify different X and Y values, as well as the different sizes that you want. And another thing maybe you guys might want to wonder is some rectangles have a border and some don't. So how do we specify those different functions? Okay. I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. I'm going to stop sharing right now, and I'm going to pause the recording. Okay, hello everyone. I hope the breakout rooms, the exercise wasn't that hard. Sorry. Okay, what is it again? Oh, not exercise 1. Okay. I'll just wait until everyone's coming back. Oh. Good up to meet you. Okay. Okay, I really hope the exercise wasn't that difficult. I'm gonna share my screen right now. I'm gonna show something. I'm gonna show like what I did when I was trying to go through this exercise. But I think everyone could see my screen. Yeah. Okay, let me have the chat. Okay, we're good. So yeah, I guess from the basics, if we go through some of the code, we have like from processing, you might have def setup, you specify the window size, and then you might have like different things right here. Oh, this should be. And then if you wanted to specify a background, this is where you should be specifying it in the setup. Then, we won't need that. And then right here, I forgot this rectangle sort of like draws the bottom down here. So basically you'd have like, I guess for the Calgary Tower, see if we go back here, we have 1, 2, we only have like 5-ish rectangles, so it's not too difficult. So I hope you had some fun with that. And oh, it's 12:03. Okay, we're still running good on time. Let me get this. And then we'll also, yeah, if you had any more pressing, I guess, questions, you could probably just ask on the Discord. So with that out of the way, I hope you had some practical like programming experience. And yeah, I guess we'll go on to another important topic, something called like variables. So if you go back to like when we're specifying like ellipses right here, X, Y, D, and then D in this case, these values are essentially called variables. Well, in a sense, because all that they do, if you go back to this slide, all that they do is they're just storing some value or something that it contains. And really that's just what a variable is. So if we're making some like there's some other comment right here. Say if we're making some application that's like how do I describe it? or say you're making some application for a bank or something, you need someone's age. All you have to do is just make a variable called age, and then you'd assign it with this equal sign to some value. So remember, variables, they have a name, in this case age, they store a value, in this case 23, and this value, more specifically, it has a type. So what type of information it is. So I'm pretty sure you guys heard of integers at least, or really they're just whole numbers. So one data type is called an integer. It's just a positive whole number. So these are just some examples. And another thing is floats, which really is just for all the decimals of your dreams. I like that comment. And it also includes positive and negative decimals. And if you see this word here called syntax, syntax is really just like the rules or the grammar of like Python programming. So whenever you see someone talking about syntax, they're just referring to just the rules of the language, like how to specify a variable, how to create a function, stuff like that. And then after that, I remember at the very start, we were using like print statements with like hello world, and then you had to do quotation marks. Well, those quotation marks, formally they're called strings, and they're just an object for text. And really, they're just a string of symbols. So in this case, going back to that bank example, or maybe you're saving login information, you'd have like, oh, first name. Oh, I just realized something. Let me pause it. Oh no, it is recording. No, we're all good. I thought it was not recording. Okay, sorry. Going back to that sort of like banking example that I had, the first name could be like for my case it'd be Adrian, quotation marks Adrian, and then the last name is Balhadia. There's multiple ways to specify strings. You can do double quotation marks or single quotation marks, just as long as you're consistent throughout. In this case, we just want you guys to use double quotes because it's a lot simpler. And these are just some examples. Ignite, UFC, 4th Street, and then you could also have a space, just as long as they're bounded by the quotation marks. And then here's a really practical example. So this creates a variable. So remember, a variable assigns a value to a name. And if we use the name of that variable, we could access the value. So for example, maybe if we have def setup, we specify a height, and then we could print that height. So if we go back to, I guess in this case, I have to delete this. Do from processing import. Maybe you might have like, we have our setup. We might have first name, the Adrian, and then last name is Balahadia. And as another note, variables can't have spaces between them. See, bad input. So when you're defining a variable, choose a good name. And if you need to add if you want a space, just use an underscore by notation. Yeah, first name, last name, and then you could do print first name, and you could do print last name. Oh, and I forgot something essential, the run at the end. Oops. Look at that, Adrian Balahaya. Okay, let's check the time. I think we're kind of doing all right. So I guess in that case, very quick question. So please pull out your top hat. Very easy. Okay. I'll just pull out the top hat, beginner Saturday. What the heck? We already submitted that. Okay. Okay, bring out this top hat question. Boom. What type of value are we assigning to today? I'm going to start the question. So you see right here, this is like the everyone in meeting. What What data type is this? Or what actually what did the question say? Yeah, what data type? What data type is this? Is it an integer? Is it a float? What is it? It's a little bit it's a little bit tricky. Actually, no, not I don't think it is tricky. Just a little bit supposed to be a little bit. Oh. Can I ask someone? Okay, I think we're good. That was a bit odd. But yes, I'll leave that a little bit right there. Hopefully everyone's got time to answer it. Pretty simple. Well, I think it is. Okay. Maybe I'll look in the chat just for any questions. If you guys have any questions, you could sort of ask in the chat. I think I could answer a couple of them. Oops. Okay. Time is running out. 8 seconds. Check the time. 12:11. Okay, not too bad. Time is up. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's look at the responses. Ooh, it's a little bit mixed up. Let's see what's correct. It is a string. And the reason for that is in program, I guess it is a little bit of a trick, but in programming, when you're specifying a value using this variable, it should really only contain one specific data type. So if we go back here, so D isn't allowed. Is it an integer? Well, 13.10 isn't even a decimal, so is a decimal, so integers ruled out. Okay, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Is it a float or a string? So it is a string because it's bounded by quotation marks. So the program would actually treat this as text rather than as a number that you could use for math. So in that case, string is the right answer. Okay. Then we'll go back here. And in that manner, we'll get started on like exercise 2. Oh, this one's a little bit more involved, so I might give you extra time for it. But so I hope everyone has access to the slide. So start out by typing or copying this code for this 2 snowmen. And yep, there's the full code is in the speaker notes below. So you can just access to Google Slides and just copy and paste it. Now the goal here is how do you move like both of them, how do you move both snowmen like 50 pixels down and 50 pixels sort of to the right? Is that it? Okay. But basically just think about like what if we're moving their location and we're not changing their size, like which of it is X, Y, D or whatever? Like which values do we need to sort of like specify in that case? So just some food for thought. And which one was easier to move? Okay. I guess in that case, I'll open up the breakout rooms. Breakout rooms. Okay. Great. Okay. And before we open up the breakout rooms, just as a little note, students who are in like group 5 and 9, unfortunately your mentor's absent. So
yeah, I can fill in for the mentor. So if your mentor was not present in the breakout room, you can just stay with me in the main session and we'll go over the exercise. Sounds good?
I guess that sounds good. So students who were in groups 5 and 9, just stay right here. And then everyone else, just go to your mentor. And I'll recreate the breakout rooms. And They are open, I think. Oh. I guess I'll see you guys there.
Hey, Adrian, you assigned me to breakout room
Oh.
11, but I'm room 12.
Oh, did I? Okay, wait. Sorry, I'm gonna have to close all the breakout rooms again. I think I did something by accident. Ah, okay, sorry. Okay. Okay, I think we are back. Unfortunately, I've really, so again, I hope I gave you enough time. Although, if you really look at the code, although it's a little bit complex, all you had to do was just modify one tiny thing, in my opinion. Okay, let's just share my screen for a little bit. Really just brief overview of what I did. I hope everyone's coming back. They should be back. Okay, I think most people are back. And we are recording. I think we are. Yes, we are recording again. Or wait, I don't think so. No, we are recording. Okay. So I believe everyone's back, but basically, if we want, since the exercise was just talking about moving the circles right and down, we're not really interested in like changing the size. So you don't want to be modifying like 60 or 115. What you might want to do, this is what I did. You might want to define some variables called like change in X or change in Y. And then what you can do is like add them to the already defined X and Y locations of each circle. So that's why I only did that to one circle, and that's why they're shifted. Okay. I guess we'll continue on with the slides. Although we might go a little bit over 5 minutes over. I really hope everyone could stay 5 minutes over. But the least number of lines change, just modify these ones, X, Y, something like that. So before we sort of like end things off today, there are some things called like arithmetic operators. So basically they're just like addition, subtraction. In this case, if you want to multiply things, it's asterisk, there's division is the slash. The modulus I will explain later, but that's just the remainder of a division. We'll finish off with the quick question, but another thing that later on you'll be like developing more games. You could access the mouse's X and Y coordinates, and you don't have to assign these values because the program does this automatically. But sort of looks something like this. You have setup, we have draw, we have background, we have fill, and then remember how when you're making a rectangle, you need to specify an X and a Y. Well, since draw loops like continuously, you could just update it based on the mouse's X and Y position. And before we leave today, we'll do this one last quick question. And I'll just bring out Top Hat. Go back here. Oops. Did I accidentally share the response? Anyways, maybe it'll be a freebie. But oh, let's give this a couple more time. Basically, if you look right here, how can you define parameters X and Y so that the circle defined will always stay in sort of like in the top left corner? So just think about these. So just think about really specifically like how does D relate to like the X and Y values? Like say if D is like 100, what should be the specified what should be like the specified X in that sense? And just some food for thought, how far does the circle center need to be from the edges? Oh. And I'll go over that one. I'll go over So just answer this. It'll be like one of the last few things that we talk about today. We are going a little bit over time. I hope everyone could just spare me like 5 minutes, 2 minutes. But I believe everyone has access to the Top Hat question, so I'm just gonna leave this. I'm gonna leave the question prompt right over here. But yeah, just you could also think about it like if you go back to quick question 1, actually, we were the circle size was like 100, and then we said that the x and the y should be at 50. So is there like, how can you sort of like generalize that relationship there? Okay. Wonder how much time we have. Oops. Okay. Oh, I'm seeing stuff in the chat. So again, remember, if you're using the chat, please just do it for questions. There's a lot of like unnecessary stuff I'm seeing here. So just again, please just use the chat for questions. Just like to reiterate that. It's almost there. These are just some of the values, but yeah. Okay, time is up. So if we look at the responses, ooh, okay. Most people think it's D 1.5. I did accidentally reveal it earlier, but yes, that is correct. It should just be 1.5. If you sort of like look right here, and remember, we could examine the first case in quick question 1, wherein the diameter of the circle is like 100, and then we related it to being it on the edge, so the x and the y value had to be 50. So that's like roughly half. So that should already be quite a big enough hint to choose that the x and the y values are just half of the diameter. So we are ending. This is sort of like the end of session, which is really nice. I hope you had sort of like fun trying to write out your first like program. But in regards to exercises, so these are some of the exercises you could do. With regards to the mouse X and Y, you could also search up some extra documentation about it. But really, like the mouse, if you print out mouse X and Y, it'll be saved in like a little. You could see like the coordinates of your mouse, and then you could draw it. You could draw rectangles at that location. Those are some exercises right here. And remember that in order to submit exercises, this is the Google form for it, for the submission form. And remember to link your trinket. So if you go back right here, say this is like your exercise solution, you go to share, you go to, I forgot if it was link. Yeah, it was link. Copy this, paste it in the Google form. And all the rules and like details can be found in that little hyperlink. And with that, I think that's done for today. So if anyone has any like last minute questions, I know we are 4 minutes, a bit over time. I do apologize, but any last minute questions? No? Then, okay, yes, we do have questions. Sorry about that. Let's go with Sophie. Sophie first.
Can you please show once again how you did the snowman moving thing?
Yep.
I couldn't screenshot it in time.
Yep. Let's go back here. This isn't Sophie, this isn't the exact solution, but this is maybe the beginning of a solution. So you could I'm just gonna add a comment here, define changes to X and Y. Add these changes to the ellipse locations. So kind of like that. I hope someone screenshotted that. I hope that answers that question. Navreet, you have a question?
Yes, my question was, so wait, I don't know how to explain this. So for when it says I'm on the Google form, which session exercise are you submitting for? I select one because this is session 1. There's 2 exercises, which is the Calgary Tower and then this we just did, the snowman.
Mm-hmm.
Are we submitting both?
If we look back here, you can submit both, I believe. Mahawk, can you?
Yeah, I'll
clarify?
hop in on this one. So guys, just to clarify, you're not submitting the in-session exercises, okay? If you look at like the slide set, at the very end, we have these exercises over here. I think Adrian went over these. So these two are the ones that you'll actually be submitting. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yes, thank
Yes.
you. So
Yeah,
session
there's
one, we
no
submit
starting.
both.
Yeah, there's no starting code for these. This is completely like you have creative freedom with how you want to do these. And you can also do like the ones underneath, like the slides that are blocked just for extra points. You'll get extra points if you hand in those as well.
I
But
see.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Any other questions, guys? Okay, I guess for those that are still a bit here, maybe I'll just touch a bit on some of these exercises since there is no starter code on them. I know for I know for this first exercise, you're just changing the colors. You could sort of like link the mouse's XY position to an RGB value, and that's how you could change that. This one's a bit more involved, but it's the same thing. You just create a different you just change the parameters or the settings of the rectangle based on the mouse's X and Y. But yeah. Any other questions? Still have a question, Navreet?
Sorry.
Okay. But I guess you guys are all free to go. For the mentors, can you please stay for a little debrief? But everyone else is free to go.